Good Tuesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks, the SUVs, the motorcycles, the school bus. Wow, something, man, so many years I used to sit out in front of that gate and watch the school bus pick up my daughter. Man, at times goes by so quickly. Wow. So, hey there. Good Tuesday morning. Thanks for tuning into the Ice Age TV morning conversations where I get to blab away and you listen to me until you just have to hit the button that says I'm moving on to the next video. As always, thanks for tuning in my channel. Appreciate all the support, all the nice comments, all the giggles and laughs. Wow, what a great evening yesterday. What a great afternoon yesterday. I did the Gales food and stuff, but I made it to Gary's food and stuff evening of making food, which I used to do all the time. I really did. I used to make really just really great meals on a regular basis for Julia and my wife, just because I would rather do that than go out to the restaurant and get things. But oh my gosh, the food prices, until you go to the store, you just are like, even for me, I'm like, wow, fish, the meat, the oils, all the essential things you need to make really good meals, but the pork, yeah, the pork, dirt cheap. What message is that to you, right? So let's get around to the shop as always, as I continue the never-ending conversations on a weekly basis that for so many watch it, for most don't watch it. Yeah, the views are minuscule, but whatever. I just like talking. I enjoy getting up in the morning and challenging myself to create content that maybe relates to you or someone you know, and that's what I do. I just enjoy getting up and starting the day off, getting the brain working. A lot of people get up, like my daughter. If you notice, the Ford F450 is gone. Her thing a lot of days is get up early in the morning, as many other people do, and they get up and want to go exercise. Well, I want to exercise the brain. That's what I enjoy doing in the morning to get the day going, is drinking my coffee, as Shannon and Chris, my good friend Shannon on Facebook, always is showing her cup of coffee in the morning to get her day going. And I think so many can resonate with that. Or maybe your tea. Or maybe a Pepsi or a Coke. I don't know. All right, as usual, it's all about getting the dogs in control. And my daughter put the shock collar on the dog. And she's bragging about how that's the right thing to do, because that way he's not such a abusive animal. But I think, are you being abusive? Come on, pups. Who's missing? Who's missing? Come on, somebody's missing. Oh, well, I'll just have to wait till they show up. I can't keep track of all these varmints. Yeah, so great evening, though. Incredible how I met a guy named Louie. And if Louie's watching my channel this morning, good morning to you. What a great individual that came out of the blue on Marketplace from Facebook. I've never been a Facebook person, but as I progress, there's so many people I know on Facebook. I'm starting to just kind of open the door up where I'm participating a little bit, but not a lot. So, and I've actually been reaching out to have people recognize me and become a friend on Facebook, which once again, there's Scouty Boy. I really never have been into Facebook. I've been anti-Facebook, but I guess the social media for my YouTube channel and everything else, it's beneficial for me to have more exposure. And here's Scouty Boy. Must have been doing business. And there's Kiefer wanting to go upstairs and play with other dogs. Dogs, so you're not, because I'm going to hear you guys upstairs rustling around. Going to be up to something naughty. So Louie, he's a realtor, and I've got his business card, but I don't feel comfortable right now to disclose all this information. He said to me, he's a realtor, that he could probably benefit from just getting his name out there, and he's around my age, and it's just crazy and how for the first time I actually wanted to make a really nice meal for my wife and my daughter. And it really came down because Gail has that YouTube channel, Gail's Food and Stuff. And I'm just kind of watching that and seeing her videos. And it just kind of got me motivated to want to make a real nice meal. Now, years ago, I did it like just about every day. But that anymore, I don't know. That's just, I did it for so many years to kind of just get myself burned out. Plus, just too much food. You just make so much food and you don't eat it. And so I know how do you portion it, whatever. So Louie came over yesterday evening to get the rear set of passenger pegs that I had for my Indian Challenger Elite Series that I never put on. So I put them on Marketplace just here, actually maybe a week or two ago, and Louis happened to reach out to me. I had no idea who this person was, but if you watch my video from yesterday evening of making the nice meal for the wife and kid, you'll see he came over in his beautiful Indian Pursuit. That was the color Indian Pursuit I actually really wanted, but I couldn't find one and get one, and I just never lucked out on that. But he loves his Indian Pursuit. He hasn't had, per se, one of the problems I had with mine with that steering wheel issue, but once again, just reaching out to him. Very nice person. He's got a son, wife, and there's a very good chance we're going to go ride together. So it's another person I've connected with through the motorcycle community. It's just incredible how many people that I have really connected with over the motorcycles. And we were talking about that with Gail and Brian over their anniversary lunch at the ho hum restaurant. That the food was okay, and so we were talking about that. And Gail asked Brian, "Didn't you find the Iceman through the motorcycle adventures?" And he was like, "Yeah, I think that's how I found your channel." And yesterday, Louis, that came over to get the Indian rear passenger foot board, he said the same thing. He rolled up and he's like, "I know this place. I know you, but how do I know you?" He's like, "How do I know? How do I feel like I've been here?" And he's like, "Oh my gosh, he's like, so he said that he's pretty confident. He watched some of my Indian videos on how-tos, and one of them was how to install the home link in the Indian Challenger Pursuit of taking apart the top of the dash and plug and play type of setup. Not real hard, just to be confident in how you take it apart. But he was like, "Oh my gosh," so he was so cool, so nice. And we all connected on that. And that's the thing, the motorcycle community, it just seems like so many people, we connect together on just kind of our views, our values. And I think that's just so great. So as always, what are we going to talk about? Yesterday, there was the safe conversation, which I take the word of the day. And I try to be creative on how the safe is what we look to and for in the vehicles that we own. And then where we are in today's society. And I didn't go into real great depth because good old Dan, he is so funny. Good morning there, Dan out of Canada. I'm so glad he's back on my channel, and he does make comments, but they're funny. He's a funny guy. And I really enjoy all those out there that do interact with my channel. And they'll make, like Brian K. I mean, I can't emphasize enough how many of you just really make me laugh. I really do. I'm like, this is just classic. Because of the comments and how you interact on the channel. Don does the same thing. I mean, everybody does. So if I don't mention your name, and I haven't heard from the Hood, Charles, but he does the same thing. I mean, there's just so many of you out there, Darren, that's the Bison guy, that I'll just overlook. Roger, Sanchez. I mean, it's just a help desk. Yeah, Vinny. I mean, it just keeps, whatever. Whole point is, I really do get a lot of enjoyment of those that interact on my morning conversations, because it just makes me feel like, okay, people are intrigued to watch this and listen to it, and they do listen to it, and then they reach out, make comments that relate with what I talked about, that are just kind of like so great. So once again, thanks so much for interacting with my channel, and I just enjoy doing that and trying to remember everybody's name and all the different comments that come across, so I can feel like I'm talking to you as you're right here with me as I run my mouth on another day. So the safe conversations, once again, I didn't get too heavy into it because Dan, I should say, out of Canada, he's like, "Your channel's blacklisted." He's like, "The reason your channel doesn't grow by leaps and bounds, it's been blacklisted." I'm like, oh my gosh, that is pretty classic. That is fun. Funny. And YouTube is actually, now that my lawyer has reached out to the YouTube AdSense, they are now looking into this much more deeper of what they've done to my channel, to see that what they've done is wrong. How does that play out? How much money do I spend on a lawyer to fight all that crap? It just doesn't end for the Iceman's finagling of what he gets himself into and gets himself out of, and the challenges of who we are. So, all right, well, it's a good word. So I thought I had one word yesterday, but then I kind of thought this morning, which is a great word, I think, is want. And I think to myself, isn't that so powerful? What do you want? I mean, I can sort of remember being a kid, and you were pestered in so many ways by your parents and others of, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What college are you going to go to? What are you going to study? Didn't that just irritate you? Now, some people just have that natural born thing in their life where they knew they wanted to be. I have friends that have kids. They just want to go and be an Air Force pilot, or they want to be a policeman or a fireman, or they want to be an athlete. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But I think for most of us, we're probably on the same page of what do you want to do with your life? And it's kind of like, wow, that's overwhelming. I'm just enjoying playing basketball with all my buddies right now. Why do I want to figure, why do I want to focus on that? I'm just enjoying riding my horse today. Why do I want to be focused on the future of what I want? But at the same time, if you really step back, what do we want? Where are we in today's culture, today's era, today's social media? What do we want? And as you know, it's the election interference that's upon our doors, like it always is for the most part. It's always very vocal and very divided. It isn't anything new in the history of politics, but it seems more so because we all know the social media. So, but what do we want? And it's very obvious. If you're part of my channel, you watch a guy that wants as many cars and motorcycles as he can possibly stuff in his barn and on his property and be able to even continue to be able to pay for them. That's what he wants. And that's always what I've wanted. I always wanted a whole collection of cars and trucks and motorcycles. And I know in so many ways I should have been in the car industry. But I think at the same time, it would have ruined my love and passion for the cars, because then it just becomes an item. It just becomes an asset, a tool to how to make a living. And I think that you just have a different perspective. I'd be interested to hear other salespeople talk about this that sell cars. But I think once you become the car side of business, it's a whole different way you look at these vehicles. It's just another item to sell off the lot to make a living. Who really cares? And you can't get caught up in the attachment of how these cool cars that we own, and we work so hard and strive so hard to buy one and have one, and then we take baby it and everything else. So that's always was kind of a concern of mine being in the car industry. It would take away my passion and my love for the vehicles that I own and want. So once again, on my channel, Ice Age TV, why did I start the channel? Because I saw that the challenge of the future of the auto industry was going to be changed, that the Ice Age was going to be hammered on to become a different type of transportation. And that's one of the main reasons I call it Ice Age. That's the only reason I call it Ice Age, because I'm an addict to the internal combustion engine age. As you can see, I'm addicted to buying cars and trucks and motorcycles and dirt bikes and side-by-sides. And the list goes on and on and on. Anything that has an engine in it, I get all excited, especially if it has any roar to it or it's really fast. So for us, there's a challenge. What I think most of us want is the Ice Age. But for some reason, the likes of Jim Farley and Joe Biden and Xi Jinping in China, they want us to have electric vehicles. But I don't think that we want electric vehicles. I think that most people who watch my channel, they really don't want electric vehicles. Now, don't get me wrong. There's definitely subscribers on my channel that have Rivian, Teslas, the Lightning. And this is no by means a derogatory comment to you. I'm just saying, I think that most everybody here on the channel, they want the Ice Age to live on. And sure, the EV age, I'm not anti-EV by any means. I am anti-control. I do not want the government to start taking control of what I can and can't do. And there you go. What's the number one word that would be the opposite of that? It's freedom. We all want freedom. And I think that the Ice Age is a known fact. You go to the true beginnings of the cars, the horse and buggy, the cars, the independence of freedom was all related to a vehicle that you were able to have the stature to make money, to own, to have the freedom to go where you want. And back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, that was a very big status symbol of what you were looked upon and even to the degree today of what you drive and how you hold your posture and your looks and your job and your income. And so the cars in our lifetime has given us incredible freedom. I mean, I can remember to this day when I finally got my official driver's license and I was no longer on a permit license, on how I could just get in my dad's Chevy red truck or my dad's 1976 Datsun 280Z. The red Chevy truck was 1978 step side. and I could go drive over to my friend's house, or I could drive up to town to go to McDonald's, or I could just drive to go to school. I mean, wow, that was such an incredible independence and freedom experience of the true beginnings of me becoming self-sufficient and being independent on my own. And I think and my daughter talks about that. And I even talked about that on my channel, and how years ago when she was in the community college and she was in a public speaking course, and the teacher asked each student to write an essay of what they want, what makes them excited. And my daughter talked about becoming a motorcycle rider, and talked about how her father helped her become more freedom and independent from her confidence of riding a motorcycle on the roads. You know, my daughter at 17 years old is riding down highways and riding through cities. And, you know, these are 70 mile an hour, 80 mile an hour roads of tractor trailers. As a young kid, even for me, I would have been intimidated by that. But my daughter was with me, and I led us through all those different situations. And she's witnessed close calls. But for her, like many other people, what she wanted was that freedom of her being able to ride her own motorcycle. So she wrote a whole essay on that, and she got an F. Yeah. But I've talked about this before, but the other young lady that wrote the essay on dementia, she got an A. That's like, you want dementia? I'm like, well, I don't understand that. Who knows? The kid went to school. Anyway, so what do we want? I think more than ever, most of us do not want the government to tell us how to live our life. But we feel like more than ever, the cars, and that's why I think my channel is so reflective to the modern times of the transition of what's going on in our society, in the world, is these vehicles. I just talked about how in the early 1900s that cars were looked at as a status of freedom. And whether you realize it or not, Mr. Benz, that actually the designer and owner of Mercedes-Benz, his position was, back at that time, only the elite would be able to drive cars. That's a fact. You can look it up. Mr. Benz truly felt like only the smart class of people would know how to operate a car. And those that weren't that smart would not have the skills to drive a car. Yeah, look at some of the most famous race car drivers probably in the history of this world, and they probably weren't the smartest of the bunch. They were just crazy of the bunch. So, remember Evel Knievel? Yeah. Was that guy a crazy guy? Was that guy smart? Yeah, I don't know about that. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is Triumph is recognizing the 50th anniversary of apparently Evel Knievel's jump over what river was it? They didn't look like a motorcycle to me. It looked like a freaking rocket ship. That didn't go over very well. If everybody remembers that from the 70s? I think late 70s. It had to be if it's a 50-year anniversary. So what do we want? We want cars that excite us. And for the most part, I think the manufacturers have done a pretty good job on giving us what we want. But I think at the same time, we're now becoming very disgruntled and unhappy that these manufacturers are wanting to bring a whole different type of transportation vehicle that we just really don't want. But they don't want to hear that. But I guess the executives of these big companies, as I talked about so many times, all they hear from the people that have the line pockets of money and the green agenda activists and the political powers to be, they want the transition to happen whether you and I want it or not. And isn't that aggravating? Isn't that something that really is a total relationship? Your relationship goes sour. It just does. I mean, it can go sour on a car, motorcycle, a business transaction, marriage, dating. It could be you're a coach of youth sports, whatever. It's when it becomes a division of what you want to accomplish versus what the other person does not want to accomplish. And so you want something, but the other person's like, no, you're not going to get that. And this is a pretty good story for Louis that came over last night. He shared with me just a little brief experience as he's looking up the collection of all my cars and motorcycles, and he's just befuddled and starstruck on how do you pull this off if you're a married man? Yeah, it hasn't been easy. It's been very challenging, it's not easy. Yeah, do you think my wife wants all this stuff? Absolutely not. Do you think my wife would be extremely happy if I had maybe 2 motorcycles and 2 cars? and she wants a huge bank account so that one day when we want to go retire, she doesn't have to worry about whether we can still be retired. Who doesn't understand those stories? So, but for Louis, he was classic. He's always been very upfront with his wife about whatever he does through the career. He's 60 years old. So, well, I think he's been married 30 years, if I remember right. Maybe a little longer than that. And he's got a beautiful 20-year-old son that rides his Indian FTR that he bought. And he said that he went up to the motorcycle dealership, and for the first time ever, he did not call the wife and ask her what he was wanting would be okay. He didn't do it. So he drove the motorcycle home, asked me these stories, and his wife was livid. She was so mad. And the thing was, she wasn't mad that he wanted that motorcycle. She was mad because he didn't want to make a phone call to ask her if he could get it. And the odds are she would have said, sure, get the motorcycle. I don't really know the relationship that well. But he said it was bad. He realized he did that was wrong, and he's never going to do it again. He's like, I should have asked my wife what I want. Who doesn't know these stories? It's infinite on relationships of people having differences of views of what you want versus what the other person does not want. For me, I've wanted my wife to get in the back of one of my motorcycles for years. And you know what? She does not want to do that. I've even gone on my way to buy a trike to hopefully nudge her to get in the back of that bike. Does it happen one day? I don't know. She just really does not want to ride in the back of a motorcycle. But my wife loves, but she wants to buy a new gun. My wife just, for some reason, has connected with getting back into shooting, and she just really, that's her outlet for her having to just really release her, I guess her work tensions, probably her husband tensions. Yeah. Can anybody relate with that? Anybody's going to be married to me, I can only imagine, right? You wouldn't be married to me, probably. You'd be like, no, I don't want to be in that relationship. So for us, it's always challenging for us to manage what we want versus what we need. And I'm sure many on the other side of this camera is like, yeah, there's the statement of the day. What you want, Mr. Iceman, but what you actually need, yeah. You've witnessed it in front of you. You've probably witnessed. I don't think there's many of me out there in the YouTube community that you witness of what I've wanted versus what I actually need that sit here on a regular basis that don't get driven much at all. Look at that Honda Africa Twin back there. It's incredible on how, I wanted that. That's like my fourth or fifth Africa Twin that all it does is collect dust. Yeah. I know, I get it. But it's cool to look at in my shop, right? It's cool to look at how I have my own little motorcycle dealership, but borderline I do. And just like the Fireblade over there, I was telling Louis that too. Like, these are just, these bikes here, yeah, I want one because it looks so cool. It's so badass looking. Do I need it? Absolutely not. Do I hope that one day it has value to it that'll be kind of special to own? Just like the 450, same thing. Yeah, do I need that? Hell no, I don't need that. But, on the other side of the equation, these other bikes here I think are really great. And Louis, Indian guy, but he's a Harley guy too, but he sees what Harley's doing to its customer base. But he really was liking this CVOST. He really was like, wow, he was really like, this is the nicest Harley I've seen production-wise. I'm not talking about anybody out there that mods their bike and does whatever. Here's Don. Don's back in action. Looks like he had a few beers there. He's getting a little sloppy there. Hey there, Don. Morning there. And Ginny and is it Megan? Maddie? I can't remember, Don. You have to text me on that one. Oh, I changed my profile on my Facebook to me like 10 years ago, standing in front of my Harley Davidson CVO 110 Screaming Eagle Limited, beautiful bike that I bought. And it was probably 2013, 14. And no, don't have a beard. And I'm slimmer. And already people on Facebook is like, who's this guy? It's like, what's this, right? Even Chris is looking at it like, why are you posting this picture of yourself? Well, it got me some attention, right? That's for dang sure. So on the want aspect of what we want in life, and once again, I think we all want freedom. I think we all want love. We want peace. There's so many things I think that everybody here that is in my channel that participates, I think every one of you would say the exact same thing. We all want to have love and peace, happiness. We don't want anger. We don't want frustration. We don't want wars. We don't want to argue with people. We really don't. The people that I associate with, we seem to be, for the most part, on the same page, same level, and we all seem to want the same thing. But yet, it's such a challenge in today's world of how we're trying to be split in two of what we want versus what we need. And it's so bad. Now, here's a really interesting thing. This artificial intelligence, I talked a lot about this on my channel. It's incredible how much time and energy I put on my channel when I really sit in my office and talk to you more on my little, I'd sit there and I'd talk to you sitting down. And I did that for a while, but I just felt like walking around the shop, showing the art and scenery is more enjoyable than just sitting behind my desk. Colder months will probably force me back at my office, but I'm just enjoying sharing with you the collection of art in my shop that's at the highest level ever for me in my lifetime of what I own and have. And so for me, the artificial intelligence, I talked in great length about the ChatGPT, the generative pre-trained transformer technology that was coming to us at a rapid speed, and how OpenAI was shut down in like 2020 because of how bad it was getting and people feeding it just really nasty information. But as you know, it's the main talk of everything now. Apple's new phone release, the iOS 8 operating system is going to be able to use the generative pre-trained transformer AI like never seen on your phone. Everything's transforming by leaps and bounds around us. NVIDIA, the stock that makes the GPU processor that can help the artificial intelligence grow by leaps and bounds. And so I ran across this article this morning in the Wall Street Journal, and it's very interesting to see what's going on what's going on with the energy. And this is where I talk about the ice age is so related to where we're going in society, because the EV age and the green agenda are so wanting to get rid of the fossil fuels. But it's not going to happen, because these data centers, and where I live, it is beyond believable how many data centers are in Loudoun County, Virginia, where I live. It's beyond believable. And they're still being built. And these places are massive. And they all have these, every one of these things have 20, 30, 40, 50 huge diesel generators for backup power. They have underground fuel tanks. And this goes on and on and on for all these data centers that if anything ever happened, which I think this area would be bombed to hell, and they take all these damn things out. I mean, I think that we're just a sitting target for that because there's so many data centers of the infrastructure of the cloud. But the whole point is that this artificial intelligence is putting an incredible strain on these data centers and electrical grid system, where they're going to have no choice to continue the path of fossil fuels to energize these your power stations. And so they're talking about how the natural gas infrastructure is growing by leaps and bounds, that they're having to build out more natural gas infrastructure to accommodate these data centers, because the current grid systems and electrical systems cannot handle what's coming to us in the near future. So it's kind of contradictory. In the one sense, artificial intelligence is coming to make mankind smarter or dumber, but with that drain, it's forcing the ice age, or you should say the fossil fuel age, to live on. And it's very, in the laws, and believe it or not, there's many locations in cities and states that aren't resisting this build out of the fossil fuels to accommodate what is going to be the future of artificial intelligence like never ever seen. To the point that I was reading about how you have the words of all the data and storage, and it's just incredible on how you and I have grown up in the time where, if you look here, I pasted this for myself, cloud services and private networks for years had to handle relatively limited amounts of data. Now that artificial intelligence and deep learning and driving vast quantities of photos, videos, sound, and artificial language into the mix, however, data that was once counting gigabytes and terabytes is measured in much larger units of petabytes and exabytes. Wow. Hear that? So the information age is being overwhelmed through these servers and these data centers, through all this artificial intelligence, where it's just draining the cloud like never seen. And they're having to rebuild and restructure on how the cloud operates to be able to just go to back from years and years and years of video content to bring it to present day like instantly. And that's the challenge, is where this artificial intelligence is going to go from information from 20, 30, 40 years from now and have to bring it to you instantly to interact with you in that platform. And there's huge companies that are taking advantage of all this new technology on how they're having to bring a more efficient, cost-effective cloud system that, for the most part, is being built out as we speak. And it's just like, wow, it's just incredible. But you know what? I talked in great length about Elon Musk remember this conversation, wanting to buy out out Twitter. Elon Musk was wanting to buy Twitter because he felt after the 2020 election that the social media machine had silenced the conservative views. He sincerely felt that, but this is where it gets so. This is where you just get, for me, for Elon Musk, the guy sees the paint on the wall, what's going on in the media machine back in 2020, that somebody feel like persuaded the election to go one way or the other, and the guy voted for Joe Biden. But I mean, I get why he voted for Joe Biden, because he came from the Obama administration, where Obama gave Elon Musk the monies to start Tesla. And he knew that the Obama-Biden administration was more of the green agenda to advance his Tesla infrastructure. So I get all that. So I think that that's what drove his decision. But he now regrets that. He point blank says he regrets voting for Joe Biden. Now he's supporting Donald Trump. Whole point is, he wanted to buy out Twitter to take control of that platform, to show everybody on how the devious things behind the scenes that the key individuals that owned Twitter and ran Twitter deliberately followed governing body instructions to silence those who oppose different views. So basically, the liberal side wanted to silence the conservative side. And you can argue that the conservative side wants to silence the liberal side, whatever. But what I talked about that more so with Elon Musk was, I really think, bought Twitter for the artificial intelligence capability. If you just read what I just read to you, it talks about how artificial intelligence digs into the troves of all the videos, the pictures, the language, the conversations. So if you go to Twitter and you see how much information is within hand's reach for Elon Musk now to own all that information, to feed it to, his Grok? Is that what he's called? He calls his AI, his AI platform for you to get involved in to build your AI intelligence. So for me, I just think that just reaffirms that what I was talking about Elon Musk is his whole goal really was to buy Twitter, was to make it into his own artificial intelligence trove to help him build out. Because remember, he and Sam Altman shook hands, and Bill Gates of OpenAI, because they came to disagreement. No, stay here, Keith, stay here. He came to a disagreement from where he felt the participants with OpenAI was going to, how they were going to use that. And it was supposed to be for a nonprofit organization. So we realize or not, Elon Musk is suing Sam Altman, Bill Gates, the whole OpenAI company, because they split it off from a nonprofit to a profit organization. And Elon Musk, his position was, to me, it's a double-edged sword with Elon Musk. You don't know what to really believe, because the guy's the richest guy in the world, so he pretends himself to be this guy wanting everything to be free, and one aspect of his language, and the other aspect of it, he wants to charge the hell out of you for anything you buy from or use. But his position is that the artificial intelligence would be ruined if it turns into a for-profit type of organization, and that devious and bad things would go on. So he's suing OpenAI because he claims that it was misrepresented to him and others on how that company was formed, and for the good of mankind. It was not for the good of mankind. It was for the good of select individuals to become richer than rich. And so anyways, that gets into long, deep, heavy conversations, which I can get into and talk forever and ever. The wife's leaving, distracting me. The kid just came in. Kiefer's over there. It's all the distractions. So for now, I think to myself, what is going on in our country where it seems like, what do we want? This country seems to be so divided from the political figures and the social media of what do we want? I mean, really, what do we want? And I think that most people here would say, we'd like to see a country that stands up for itself. We want to see a country that wants laws. We want a country that enforces immigration. We want a country that's not supplementing funding wars to other countries, which I know that's very challenging. We want a country that has leadership that we feel is a real leader and not a muppet. We want a country that we would feel that the big guys aren't running it. I know that, it's all easy to say all stuff. We all know that what I'm saying is really what's going on in our country. We all want a country where all of us, no matter what you look like, can be at peace and love with one another and not be fighting because of people creating content and words that make you think that what is isn't or is wasn't. I mean, so it's incredible. I think that in our country, what do we want? So just take away Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. I'd be so interested to hear other people say, if you could just go and vote for what we want in this country, forget the leaders, what do we want? And I think most people would be, we want our freedom, we want our rights to bear arms, we want our religious rights, we want our children to be brought up with good social views and ideas. We want safety for those that are around us. We want the well-being of those that have mental issues to be taken care of, which was so sad that we spend billions of dollars to go overseas as we have the homeless. The homeless is through the roof of people that have mental issues. Homeless people are mental issues. I have met them. I have thrown them in my truck to take them to go do a job with me. And 15 minutes in the job, they can't do it. And I give them their $20 and I just move on and know that it's just a mental issue. It's not, there's more to it. People know this and understand that. So the mental, I think people in this country would say more than ever, our mental crisis, our drug addictions, the fentanyl, we want more of us to try to help resolve that. And we need to focus more on our own country than being focused on getting monies to other countries to which we don't think is really the right thing to do, because we feel like it's an undermining of people being enriched that's out of view and out of sight. And we just kind of, you scratch your head. I think we all want the environment to be clean. We want, the national parks to be safe. We want meaning that we want those to be preserved. We don't want to see that mankind comes and overruns and ruins Mother Nature, Earth. I think most people here are on the same page and what we want. But here's something very interesting is ammonia is a big growing trend. So ammonia right now, if you can find the stocks or ammonia stocks of manufacturing, ammonia is huge. It's used in fertilizer, but realize it or not, ammonia is also, ammonia is derived from hydrogen and nitrogen. And it's a very big growing trend because they see a trend of using it in fuels to make it a more cleaner burning fuel. So apparently ammonia used in fuels. And I don't know enough about that. Somebody else may be able to get more in depth on that. I really didn't do a lot of research on that. I was just reading about how the infrastructure of ammonia chemical plants being built in our own backyard is right now taken off by leaps and bounds. And it's a growing trend to supplement the world demand of ammonia use. And one of them is to make a cleaner burning fuel. So wouldn't that be interesting to find out that adding ammonia instead of ethanol, the E85, was a more efficient way to cut down the carbon footprint? But here's the challenge. When these manufacturers come online and they start producing ammonia, they produce an incredible amount of carbon footprint, CO2. So what they've gotten creative on is they're now taking pockets of this carbon and they put it underground. So they have literally underground carbon footprint storage tanks, which that's a very creative idea. Where does it go? Eventually, how do you release that one day? I have no idea. I'm not the chemist or the scientist or the engineer to get all into that. But once again, it's obviously what is going on. What is the want? What is it all about that ammonia that's becoming such a wanted need in the world for a cleaner way to burn fuel, I guess, and energy? Because I think many are starting to see that they don't really want this so-called green renewable energies that are the windmills, that are the electric batteries, the battery packs. I don't know. It's just, that's a lot of heavy, in-depth stuff. But love to hear other people on my channel that may be more of stature of that language to reach out and say, here, let me kind of give you a heads up of what that all is about, and that would be great. That's just great, very intellectual conversation. But it's happening around us whether you want to accept it or not. And that's the thing I talk about all the time is whether you want to accept it or not, the EV age is going to continue to transition into the EV age. And many would be like, no, it won't. Well, it is, because there's just too much infrastructure, too much money that's been put in to the whole system. And even Donald Trump, I would have to say, if he gets elected, Bill Murray, he's saying he ain't going to get elected, that he would probably keep the EV transition going, but probably not in such a radical way. He would take away the deadlines of where the Ice Age cars can't be sold anymore. That's what I think would be more about Trump. Like, hey, the infrastructure, it's going on to transition cars, but let's have choices. Let's have the hybrids. Let's have the ICE. Let's have the EV. I think he'd be more on that page, which I think that's what more people would say. That's what I want. I want to be able to go to the dealership, and I want to have my choices. Here's what's really interesting. So the Ram TRX, which even for me, I think it's pretty incredible. So the end of 2023, the Ram TRX was no longer being built, meaning no more orders. So 2024 Rams, those are trucks that had orders placed by the end of 2023 and have been built, and I think that run is over. So now the next big thing that's coming to your lot is the Ram RHO, Ram High Output 1500. It looks exactly like this truck, and it'll be priced a lot less than this truck now because it's going to be a $70,000 to $80,000 truck with the Hurricane inline 6 turbo motor with like 500 and some odd horsepower and like close to 500 foot-pounds of torque. So now they really are starting to say, look at this here. You can buy a Ram RHO. You can probably put a TRX sticker on the side of it. And most people think you have a TRX. And what they're showing is that the numbers on the speed from 0 to 60 are within like 0.2 of a second difference. Like from 4.1 seconds to 4.3. Top speed on this truck is like in a quarter mile, 108 miles an hour. The Ram RHO is like 103 or something. So they're saying it's incredible on how Ram, it's the new underpinnings of the suspension, the frame. They've redone some of the gas struts, and they've refined the truck a little bit more, so it's a little more of the Raptor flavor of not being so stiff. That is the argument, which I will totally agree with, is that the Ram TRX is definitely a very stiff riding truck over my Raptor. It just doesn't have that plush type of really cool feel as the Raptor truck. So the whole point here is the new Ram RHO, if anybody really likes to look at this truck, you're going to have an opportunity to have this exact same looking truck. This is so funny. My watch is now talking to me. He can't talk. I can't talk long enough, right? So I just read an article about that and talking about how the RHO is just a TRX in a different disguise, different motor, and you can get one coming to you. Yeah, would I trade that for the RHO? I don't know. I mean, the thing about that truck there is they don't make them anymore. And is it going to get much better fuel mileage? I doubt it'll be by much. So I don't know. I don't know really what you gain besides you can get a little different color interior, probably different wheels. You probably get a little different interior on the vehicle or whatever. And I mean, who knows? I don't know. That's it. I'm going to quit talking. I talk a lot, don't I? I do. I know. My videos are very long, and I can only imagine some people just get into so many minutes and they're like, I see the guy driving a truck. I see a person that's in an office that has time just to really have something in the background talking. I see that. I see a person has a busy agenda. I can't see how they can really watch my channel. And that's probably why a lot of people just don't watch it. It's just too lengthy, too much information, and too much content. And it gets very intellectual to a degree as well. So anyways, that's it. Hope everybody has a blessed day. What's the next adventure? I really don't know. Yeah, what's the next purchase? What do I buy? What do I get rid of? I don't know, man. It's very challenging. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and I just can't get into great lengths and depths. And all I can say is pray for a miracle. Pray for a miracle for the Iceman. I need a miracle because this is a lot of money. It's a lot of debt. And now my YouTube channel is not paying me anymore, but I didn't make much money anyways. But there it is. That's it. God bless. Have a great day.